Welcome to Hoops Zooted, the show that combines your two favorite things, weed and basketball. Pack a ball and grab a seat as Evan rambles on about this team he's loved for the past 40 plus years.
My mom only cares when I'm on TV. My dad only cares that I make money. I just smoke trees every day and night. I don't give a fuck if I'm doing it right.
Welcome to episode 27 of Hoops Zooted. And this week I've titled it, My Complaining Did Not Go Unheard by the Basketball Gods. Because those of you who, the few of you that do listen, appreciate you. Shout out to you. You do know that I was complaining last week that we couldn't even get 1 week this year where I could just talk about wins. And the basketball gods must have heard me, because that's all we got this week. 3 games, 3 wins. Yes, finally. Now, I'm still not going to get my hopes up too high. We still got Darvin. We still got Darvin hamstring to deal with, So got to keep things in perspective, but this is nice. This is nice. We, 5-1 for the road trip. Very good. So in celebration tonight, I have my wizard pipe and I'm smoking a little bit of Bruce Banner, which happens to be one of my favorite strains. Because part of it has to do with that, I'm a big comic book guy and Hulk is my favorite comic book character. And this is a great strain. Nice, good, heady high. So anyway, let me play a little bit of music, light this up, and then I'll get into the recap here in a minute. But good to see y'all. Oh, it helps if I play the right one. Yeah, see, it is Hoops Zooted. Sometimes I fuck shit up. That's a little better. So anyway, like I said, we had 3 games. First one was a nice win over the Nets, 116-104. Good solid win. Had control of it most of the game. Just generally, nice. And this starting 5 is really rolling offensively, and it's gotten to the point where teams really have to pick their poison now, offensively, because all 5 guys have been playing pretty damn good offensively. So it's it's bad enough when you gotta try and stop Braun and AD and just D'Lo, but now you gotta stop Reeves and Rui too. It's now offensively, that's that starting five is nice. And, with Vando coming back, hopefully soon, but, there's been a setback. He still has not done full contact drills yet. So seems like it's still going to be probably a few more weeks. But, even without him, even if he was come back earlier, I still would not want to mess with this starting lineup. And, I was one of the ones who was a big proponent at the beginning of the season of Vando being the starter. But, I know a lot of you out there, were proponents of this starting lineup. And, I was never opposed to it. I've always felt like, offensively, it can be, really potent, and it obviously is. So yeah, shout out to a lot of you that, were calling this, since preseason that this should be the starting lineup, you know. So, but yeah, doing great. And nice win over the Nets to start, and then got a nice blowout win over the Raptors to follow that up, where they look great overall, and a few times where they let the Raptors get a little bit close, but always had control of that game. Always kept them you know further than an arm's length away the whole time. So yeah, like that was a really nice win. And then we wrapped up the road trip with a tough game against the Wizards that got a little tight at the end, a little tighter than it should have been. But we ended up winning 125 to 120. And, in that game, Braun and AD had to sub themselves back in. Darvin didn't do it. Yeah, because things got a little out of hand, and it was AD's block at the end that sealed everything. So, but yeah, again, back to what I've been talking about with Ham. They obviously had to do an intervention, and occasionally they still have to do small ones here and there. Like, oh, I guess it's time for us to go back in. So, but got the win. That's the important thing. So, that brings me now to my first topic here, and excuse me, that is the fact that we've had a 5-1 road trip here, and it's hard to complain about that. That's pretty nice. Sure, it would have been nice to go 6-0. That would have been freaking awesome. Keep this win streak going. But we did have that Indiana game that broke this all up. That was unfortunate, but at least it's not another conference loss to anybody we're fighting for a spot with. And so that's one of those losses that we can, we need every game we can at this point, but that's at least an area where we take the loss and it doesn't hurt us as badly. But we've still got a pretty good look at things. We're still in the 9th seed, but there is actually still an outside shot that we could move up, all the way to the 6th seed. That is quite a bit of an outside shot because, Phoenix is going to have to plummet for that to happen. And they look pretty good right now. They look pretty strong right now. And I don't know if they're going to lose enough of these last few games, even though they do have a pretty tough schedule. So, and all these guys are playing each other, which really helps. But the Kings and the Pelicans both, they're suffering from some injuries, so they're both kind of trending downwards. And now is the time to pounce, really. So unfortunately, the Kings still have the tiebreaker too. So like, if they drop and nobody else drops, they have to drop below us before we are able to be on top of them, because any tie, they stay on top with us. So that's, yeah. But the Pels, they're losing. They've got a tough schedule coming up, and that's probably realistically the most the most probable option for us to move up is them falling down. And, but we're still probably looking, you know, most likely at that 7 to 8 spot, you know, and still having to play a play-in game. It'd be great if we can get lucky enough to get into the 6, but we're going to have to get help from, a lot of teams, not just the Kings and the Pelicans, but the Suns too. So I don't know if that's going to happen, but there is still an outside chance, because everybody's got all of these teams that I've talked about, they've all got 5 games each coming up. So, we're going to see. And, like I said, a lot of them, they're playing each other. So, somebody has to win, somebody has to lose. Sneeze, that surprised me. Anyway, so, all in all, this was a really successful road trip. Like I said, it would have been great to go 6-0. Every game matters at this point, but like we just got to kind of put our heads down, try and get every win we can, and hope that things work out for the best. That's kind of what we have to do at this point. It really sucks that it took Darvin this long to get the starting 5 together, because I believe now they're something like what is it, like 15-6 now as starters. So like, yeah, imagine what could have been had we gotten this together earlier in the season. Sure, probably might have been a little bit of bumpy, just getting the kinks out at the beginning, but we'd probably be in much better shape at this point. Probably, a top 4 seed at least. But, it is what it is. We're just going to have to, deal with what we get. And like I said, it looks like most likely that 7 or 8 seed is, most likely where we're going to land unless we have a slide here late. And, these next 3 games coming up are going to be, telling and going to be the toughest of the remaining 5, because we've got to play the Cavs tomorrow, and that's a day game. And you guys know how these guys play on day games. If you've been watching the Lakers every year or every game for the past few years, like anytime we have one of these day games, there's always like an energy and effort issue, and it's like they just really don't want to be out there for the day games, it feels like. So hopefully that doesn't happen tomorrow. I do have a lot of faith that Braun and AD are going to be locked in, that it's like, everybody's going to be treating this like a playoff game tomorrow. But, it's always like kind of in the back of my mind of like, oh, these goddamn day games. Because, yeah, just energy level, it always seems to start badly. But, we shall see. So there's like I was saying, on to my next topic here. There's 5 games left for all these teams. The seeding could really absolutely come down to the last game. So, and we play the Pelicans on that final game of the season, so we could have some drama that comes down to that final game. And be the one that pushes the Pelicans, down to that 9 or 10 seed, So let's see. this could get really interesting here the next week. This, and like, games already are really heating up. Like, really close game tonight between, San Antonio, just topped the Pelicans tonight in a really close game. And, really good game. And then the Warriors, gosh, were they playing? I just watched it, and see, yeah, here. This is why it's hoop zooted. Sometimes, yeah, like forget what I just watched just 20 minutes ago. The Mavs, that's who they play. See, I just had to stall there for a second. But yeah, the Warriors Mavs, that was another great game. And, Mavs just barely pulled that one off at the end. So yeah, like if you love basketball, this is the time of year, man. This is the time of year. And with as close as this race is right now, these games this next week are going to be exciting and a lot of fun. And yeah, and speaking of, a little sidebar, shout out to the women's college game, like the Utah UConn game. I just watched tonight, and that was a freaking epic game. Like, yeah, you women are playing at an incredibly high level, and that was an exciting, fun game to watch. But anyway, just wanted to toss that in there because I had a lot of fun watching that game tonight. Um, and I'm admittedly a real casual fan of the women's game. I don't follow it religiously, but I do like it, and especially when it gets down to the tournament, and especially the Final Four. So yeah, but anyway, back to what I was talking about. With 5 games left, the Kings, here are their last 5 games. They've got the Nets, the Thunder, the Pelicans, the Suns, and the Blazers. Now that's pretty rough. The Nets and the Blazers, they've probably got you know a good shot at but and they shouldn't shouldn't have too much trouble with those teams, in fact. But the Thunder, the Pelicans, and the Suns, who are all also fighting for their seeding, because the Thunder are still fighting for that 1 seed, up there between those top three, Minnesota, Denver, and them. So yeah, they've got it tough. And then the Pelicans last 5. Here they've got the Suns, the Blazers, the Kings, the Warriors, and us. That's, like I said, what I was telling you about, our best chance of moving up. Looking at their schedule, that's most likely because the Suns have got a good chance of winning that game. They'll probably, or they should be able to beat the Blazers. But the Kings are going to give them everything they've got, and the Warriors are going to give them everything they've got, and then we're definitely going to give them everything we've got. So that they got it really tough there. And then the Suns last 5, they've got the Pelicans, the Clippers twice, and then the Kings and the T-Wolves. So they don't have it easy either. They've been playing really good, but that's a murderer's row for a last 5 for them too. So, they could easily drop maybe 2 of those. If they drop 3 of them, that'd be amazing because that would almost assure us if we could win out. I believe that should, because I believe they're up 2 now. Yeah, so actually, and we've got the tiebreaker with them. So yeah, we just need to tie with them. But anyway, like it's going to be exciting here this next week, and I'm kind of optimistic. I'm really optimistic about our chances to move up here. I was really, not so optimistic, last week, but like looking at how things have shaped up here, and what things look down the stretch, like, and especially after tonight, like, both the Kings and the Pels lost tonight, so we're moving up. We're moving up by them moving down a little bit. So we're getting closer, getting closer. And like I said, if Phoenix does stumble, we still do have a shot at that 6th seed. That's not completely out of the realm of possibility. So, 7 and 8, is probably most likely, and the 7 would be great. But like, man, if we can get that 6th seed, oh, and just be able to get that rest before the playoffs start, like I think we could be, you know, we could be dangerous. We could be seriously dangerous. Now we can still be dangerous if we get through the plan. But I just feel like if we can give, Braun and AD, who've been just absolute warriors this year, playing through a lot of pain, a lot of injuries. Especially AD. Shout out to how tough he's been this year. Just incredible. Like, no more Mr. Glass talk. At least there shouldn't be. He's been freaking amazing this year. So anyway, that's what we got shaping up with the 5 games left. Yeah. So before I dive into my next topic, let me take a drink here because I can feel my mouth getting a little dry. You guys can probably hear it too. And I'm going to take a couple more hits too, and chill. And so anyway, I will be right back. Much better. And then there's, I also forgot to mention there's also the very outside possibility that Dallas plummets in the last 5 games, but their last 5, it's not nearly as likely. They've got the Rockets, the Hornets, the Heat, the Pistons, and the Thunder. So yeah, I feel like the Heat and the Thunder are probably the only 2 possible losses in that one. So, but they are close enough if they for some reason did have a collapse in these last 5. That helps us move up too. Although we don't have the tiebreaker over them, if they did fall below us, like I said, it's just, it's that damn close, and it's probably going to come down to the last game of the season to figure out who's actually locked into where. And, which should make for some really exciting competitive games here, down the stretch. So anyway, on to my next topic. And this was some really kind of interesting news and yeah, it came out just today, in fact. Bronny declared for the draft, but he kept his options open. He's still going to be entering the portal so that he can go back to college if the draft doesn't work out how he's hoping it does. And this is a brilliant move, very smart move. Yeah, I love it, and I also love it from the standpoint of the Lakers possibly getting him. And I know a lot of Laker fans are completely opposed to that, and I even posted on Twitter today about it, and there's been a lot of people just whining on that thread about it, but I thought it was kind of funny. But yeah, it's such a smart move by Bronny, and this is, I feel like, perfectly set up for the Lakers to get him because at best, the way he's being evaluated right now is, a second round pick, probably late second round pick at best. The Lakers, are going to have a fairly late second round pick. Um, maybe not late enough to necessarily use on him, depending on who's there and who's available. But there's also a very good chance he doesn't get drafted at all. Now someone might, draft him late in the second round who really needs to, jack up their ticket prices or something, just use his name. But just I think given the medical history and given the fact that his statistics are not that great, that you're mostly getting him for a defensive player if you're going after him, at least, or potentially a project, at least offensively, from where he is right now, from how he performed in his first year of college. It doesn't, and that's the other thing is like all these people that are talking all this craziness about how he's so terrible and ready to bury him. Like, you don't understand anything about development in the game. And, if you watch him, there's a lot more to his game than what he puts up in the box score. So anyway, back to my point, he may not get drafted at all. And if that happens, there's a good chance that we just sign him as an undrafted free agent. And, that's like perfect scenario because that's low risk, high reward. And we also get something, cool as fans to see. And, Braun kind of gets his wish of, getting to play with his son. And I think it would be cool basketball moment. And, a lot of people are, screaming about, oh, it's too much pressure on Bronny. But like, Bronny's also a grown man himself. Like, if it goes that way and that's what he wants to do, play for the Lakers, like, I don't think you can, say that LeBron pressured him into it. That's a decision that he made, and yeah, he may be young, but he is an adult, so he's allowed to make his own decisions, and he's also got a good head on his shoulders. I think he's going to be fine, regardless of how this works out, and having, a dad like that and an empire like that behind him, I think he'll be okay if things don't work out. I think things will be okay. So yeah, go Bronny. I'm rooting for him. I was rooting for him before, you know, the heart attack and everything like that. But now it makes me want to root for him even more, just because, like, it seems like he's the one who really wants this. Like, all these people that I'm talking about, LeBron pushing him, you can tell he loves this game. And yeah, I'm looking forward to see what happens here. And like I said, I think it's a good shot for the Lakers to get him. And a lot of people may be upset about it. And even if he goes like late second round to somebody else, I don't think LeBron is going to leave. A lot of people think, oh, yeah, LeBron will just, opt out and he'll go follow his son. And no, I don't think that's going to happen. No, like, especially if we've still got a roster that can compete and we go deep this year, we got a roster and we fired Arvin and get a better coach. He's definitely staying. Like, he likes being a Laker, and like Jeannie loves him. That's the other thing. So Jeannie's not going to let him go, you know. So, now obviously he does it is his choice, with the contract, but he wants to be here and we want him here. At least those of us that love this team. And, those of you that hate him, you need to get over yourself, because he's a great player and by all accounts a pretty great band too. So yeah, just get over yourself on that. And everyone needs to relax. you know in regards to Bronny too, like, you know, acting like he's going to be a wasted spot. Like, even if you were a second round pick, he's probably going to be deep on the bench, maybe 13 to 15, and, probably spending a lot of time in the G League his first year. So it's really, mostly the, him being on the team is kind of for sentimental reasons, but it's a low risk, high reward because, he is pretty good defensively, and, he could pan out, you know, to be a pretty damn good guard in this league. He is a little undersized, at only 6'3". I believe that's what he is, 6'3". Um, I have to check that. I may have that wrong. As I say that off the top of my head. Um, but but he's got a lot of the good defensive skills, and a lot of the want to, and the smarts and the desire to get better. So yeah, we'll see. It's going to be, like I said, it's going to be interesting. And like I said, I'm also kind of looking forward to it, not just for Braun and his son playing together and that whole kind of storyline thing, but I also think it's going to be funny that all these people are going to be whining about it, just like, oh, Bronny's ruining this team, like after every loss and stuff like that, and like, because it's going to happen, it's going to happen. But I'm kind of here for it because, yeah, if Twitter's good for nothing, it's always good for a laugh, man. So anyway, and then on to my last topic here of the night. The Lakers are on a nice streak here over these last 15 games. Now, statistically, over these last 15 games, we've been number one in quite a few offensive categories that we were struggling in early this year. We were number one in scoring, 128 per game, 120.8 per game. We were number one in total shooting, 61.9%. Number one in free throws made, 20.3. Spare me with the fucking refs and rigged narrative. Like, we've Laker fans have tried to explain this to so many of you all year long. Watch a Laker game. We avoid fouling. We're very smart about avoiding fouling, and we're very smart about getting to the line. It's a strategy of ours. Don't get mad because we're maximizing it. Sorry that your team doesn't. Okay. On to the next one. Number one in 3-point percentage, 40.3%. I'm going to say that again. Number one in 3-point percentage, 40.3%. If you were paying attention to this team earlier this year, they were awful 3-point shooting. For most of this first half of the season, they were like second to last. So to move up, now, granted, this is, it's only 15 games, but 15 games at the right time of year, shooting 40.3%. And Rui Hachimura is a top 10 3-point shooter this year. Look it up. He's a top 10 3-point shooter this year. Like, hardly anybody's talking about it. I shouldn't say nobody, because there's some people talking about it, but it's, things are looking pretty damn good here, man. We're also for these last 15 games, number one in pace. Playing that up-tempo Showtime game, man. It's been a lot of fun to watch. And then we've also been number one in overall possessions. So that means we're also getting a lot of good defensive stops. And, now we do still have some issues defensively. I'm not going to, not going to sugarcoat that. We're not a great defensive team, but we are at this moment, we are performing as an elite offensive team right now. But there is some hope on the defensive side. Like I said, things have been getting better. And over this last road trip, it's only a 6-game sample, but they were number 6 in overall defensive rating. So, like I said, that's a small sample size, but that's a nice trend. We combine that with that elite offense. Like, if the offense can be that elite in the playoffs, and if we can even maybe crank it up a level, like, because Braun's going to crank it up a level. AD's going to, and AR has proved that he can crank it up a level too. And D'Lo can crank it up a level against everybody but Denver. We know. Sorry, D'Lo. No, unnecessary shot at you there, bro. I'm rooting for your redemption. Like, if we can face Denver again and you can have those awesome games to make everybody shut the fuck up about, you not being able to play against Denver, like, I'm all for that, man. Like, I am here for your redemption, D'Lo. Like, watching you play has been so fun, and like, you and Austin are my 2 favorite players on the team currently. So anyway, distracting myself with sidebars there. Like I said, there's still defensive issues, but like, they're trending in the right direction. So things are looking up. Let's, not gonna, blow smoke up your ass and try and tell you, number 18's on the way. I'm mostly trying to like distract myself from the fact that, that Boston looks like they're gonna get to 18 first. But you gotta play the games. You gotta play the games. The chip is not won in the regular season. So ain't over till the fat lady sings. I could go on and on. But we've still got a chance. We've still got a chance. So hang in there, Lakers fans. If you love basketball, at least this next week, and going and leading into the play-in games, it's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of good competitive basketball. And we got the Final Four this weekend. Both men's and women's. So a lot of good basketball. So enjoy stuff. So anyway, I guess that means only one thing.
It's time for historical story. Gas or
Yes, it is time for another edition of Historical Stoner Circle. So anyway, and kind of, the fact that, things are about to get, heavy here. I've been thinking about, one of my favorite movie series here, and that's the Mad Max and Road Warrior, series, directed by George Miller. So my historical stoner circle this week I'd like to have Tom Hardy, Mel Gibson, and George Miller. Now we're gonna have to tell Mel to keep his racist shit, like, kind of down. Like, hey, just chill on the racist shit for a little bit, Mel. But like, I'd love to sit down and get high with the three of them, and talk about the Mad Max movies and making them, and yeah, just all kinds of fun stuff, because that's one of my favorite series. Road Warrior in particular is one of my favorite movies. One of my favorite movies of all time. Just easily top 5. Yeah, I love that movie. And Tom Hardy is one of my favorite actors, and that new Mad Max is great. I don't put it in my top 5, but I love that movie nonetheless. And George Miller's a freaking genius. Now, I don't talk about Beyond Thunderdome too much, but that's a whole other story. But I love the series, the entire series. Other than that, so anyway, I guess that about does it. And it's nice talking at you again, or talking at my computer and having you listen later. And thank you to everybody who listens to this. This has been a lot of fun this season. It's, despite all the tough things that I've gone through, like I've really enjoyed doing this, and, I look forward to it every week. And it's those few of you that are listening are the reason why, and I appreciate you. So just want to throw that there at the end. And everybody, just take it easy, peace out, and stay zooted.
In the history of mankind, men have been called out and written up millions of times over. But only one man was written up for, and I quote, making barnyard noises and wouldn't stop. Rest in power, my friend. Washiko.